if you're in the page, you should know what's going on. And if you're not in the page, you need to start spending more time in the page. At least go into Ignition Mission 2018 once or twice a day to make sure that you're not missing anything, because we have too many people that are falling far behind, and you're 4 or 5 days late to a launch. So that's on you. I can't do anything about that. You got to make sure that you're going into that page to make sure that you're getting kind of your daily download, right? Okay. That's part of running a business, is just knowing what's going on. So as far as the fire starter calls, what we want to do with these is get right into the meat of what you guys need. And there's Amber. And so with that, guys, here's going to be my challenge to you. You guys if you guys wake up and you check the morning paper, you're seeing a daily challenge. Here's going to be my challenge for these calls. Get out a pen and paper, get out your phones, start writing down some notes, come up with questions. We cannot teach you how to recruit if we don't know what you're struggling with. Okay, so if there are struggles, if there are things that you want addressed, if there are questions that you have, people are starting to get the sense that I want you to succeed so badly that it's not that I'm fiery, it's not that I'm angry, it's that I want you to succeed so badly, and if we can help you, let's do it together. But if we don't know what the struggle is, if we don't know what's holding you back, we can't do anything about it. And Amber and I are just in this sense of life right now that we're given today. So let's make the absolute most of it. Okay. So as that pertains to the fire starter, we're going to jump into it. I kind of broke it down into 3 segments tonight, really getting started. So we've got a lot of you who are maybe new to this business. Maybe you've been around for a little bit and you're just starting to kind of reignite the fire. That's okay too. Getting started right is a part of that, right? The second component is going to be, how do we build a sustainable business when it pertains to recruiting? Because inevitably, if you guys are getting started, you're probably trying to tap your friends and family, right? That's your kind of your warm market. What happens when you exhaust your warm market? I want to talk about that. And then if there's anything that you guys are picking up on us talking about right now, it's the importance of building a brand that's bigger than Beachbody. No more are we going to be using hashtag Beachbody Coach on this team, at least. Let's let the other 460,000 teams do that. We're going to start trying to rebrand ourselves and make sure that we've got a personal brand that's bigger than Beachbody, that's bringing more people in. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Ams, any comments you want to make?
I just want to say thank you to all of you for hopping on tonight. It is so cool to see that we have about 50 people on here, and I know that night calls can be tough, getting kids to bed and just being tired from your normal day. So, I hope you know just how much we appreciate you being on, and that's one of the reasons we brought these back. And we hope that if the attendance stays up, that we can really keep the energy. I think that's honestly one of the reasons why we stopped them, because we started to see these numbers slowly dwindling down. And so we just want to encourage you guys to make them a priority. We're going to bring, more value, more really just tangible takeaways, hopefully, that you can really implement into your business. But the fact that you're here tonight is a huge deal. So honestly, just thank you for taking that huge step forward.
Sweet. So you could have kept talking there just for a second. So we also have Ashley Oglesby on the call tonight. I want to start off by saying 2 things. The coolest thing in this business is when somebody does what she did. And so there's something that we all can take away from someone that just goes, hey, I'm going to be diamond. I want to qualify for this retreat, and I'm going to do it. And I don't want to sing her praises out of the room, but it's pretty cool to be able to do that. And I think there's a lot that we're going to be able to take away from somebody like that. And I think she would be the first to admit too, that now she's in this, the second tier where she is really in the process of figuring out how to build a sustainable business. So we're going to wrestle with that tonight. And then, a lot of people sign up in this business and they get set up with anybody as their upline coach, right? You guys, whether you signed up with your friend or the person on the street or your mom, somehow got blessed, and I think it's a blessing, to have Amber as your upline. Number 13 in the network. It doesn't get much better than that. 2-time elite. and like currently in the top 50 of this organization. So, and top 40 and like low 30s. So I'm just really excited for you guys to take what she has to say, and we're not going to make you hear from her every single time, but I do want you to take into account that you've got a great upline coach. And so there's probably something you can take away from it tonight. But please, we're going to get into it right now, but please, if you guys have questions, we need to know them. So be sure you're posting those in the thread, and we'll get to Q&A here in a little bit. The way that I'm going to run this thing is just moderating. And so I just want to kind of turn it over to Ashley and Amber, but I've got a list of questions here that I want to work through. And again, I hope you guys find this time helpful. Okay? So, hey, let's start with getting started right. And I'll welcome Ashley onto the call here. So what are some things that you put in place day one? Like, what are some, like when you thought about growing a business day one, where did you start?
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Jake. I appreciate it. Okay, so I joined back in May, and I am a school teacher. And so really, honestly, things did not get rolling for me until June. Finished out the school year, started just kind of researching and talking more to Bethany and understanding more about the business. But then really toward the end of June, I decided, okay, I would like to do something with this and really make something of it, and saw the opportunity there. And Bethany communicated that really well. And so honestly, I put some very specific goals in place and wrote those down just for me, and said, hey, this extra income would bless our family in this way. It started out very small. Like, we have 2 kids in daycare, and daycare prices were going up. And so that was just a real need. And I thought, hey, if I could make even a little bit from this, that would be a blessing. But then as I just started to dream, made those goals a little bit bigger. And so I have some now in place that are more long-term, just seeing that, hey, there's possibility and there's opportunity here. And so for me, and I'm a dreamer, that's just me, but I had to make it specific and put some dates out there for me to keep me on task and say, okay, here's where I'm headed with this. Otherwise, I think it would have become very casual and I wouldn't have committed the time. And so from the beginning, I said, okay, here's where I'm going. I want to, do this by this timeline. And so I'm going to have to commit these amount of hours, each week to get there, and making it specific, putting that in place from the time that I decided to really work the business. That, I don't know, that did it for me. So.
What do you think, Ams? When you go back 3.5 years, and I think this is kind of interesting because if you had to do it all over again, that's actually a question coming down the line. But, you started day one, like what strategies were you putting in place? You didn't even have like a husband who wanted to do this with you at that point.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, honestly, when I think back to why I started, I think what lit a fire in me was just seeing there was such a need out there for people that, they needed to get healthy. And I would think about, and I still do, when I would get in my head about posting about fitness or being nervous about coming across as like whatever, I would remind myself that it wasn't about me, and it wasn't about, what do I look like or what does so-and-so think of me, but it was about the mom who was in the place that I was before I had discovered Beachbody, because truly this community changed my life. It changed my outlook. It helped me solve so many of my day-to-day problems. And so for me, and still when I'm lacking that motivation, that's what I go back to, is like, if I choose to take the easy way out right now, I could choose to not help someone who really needs my help. And so I think every day, like that's what I have to go back to, is that, I guess.
Cool. So when you guys are getting started here, obviously we talked about it a second ago, but when it comes to the role that friends and family play, I think that's really important, because for a lot of us, it's kind of our immediate place. It's our warm market. These are the people we know, we love. So maybe as you guys have gotten started, or as you got started, Amber, what role did friends and family play? I'll start with you, Ashley.
Yeah, absolutely. That was huge for me, honestly. My sister is here in town with us. My parents are here in town as well. And so I knew that they were going to help me honestly get to where my goals were, and that it would help them as well. They knew that I had used Beachbody products, and I had shared that with them a little bit, but they were not obviously customers or coaches yet. And so actually my first two coaches were just friends. And then immediately after that, in order to get to Emerald and just continue on down the line with my goals, I signed up my sister and my mom, my husband, of course. And so just immediately I knew, not only did I know that that would help me reach my goals, I knew that it would help them and serve them. And it's been really, really cool to just begin that journey with them and keep going down the line, to see them get excited about it. My sister's starting to get to where she's wanting to work the business or sees the opportunity there. And so that's encouraging for me to kind of see, hey, it's motivating. Y'all may know oftentimes our family can be the hardest to convince. Your husband or your friends, the ones closest to you can be the most skeptical, honestly. And so I was excited to just get that initial support group going from the beginning.
And for me, I feel like what you just said, Ashley, like sometimes friends and family are the last people to come around. Like, I didn't have so much luck with my family at first. They came around eventually, but I would try to tell different people, like my parents and siblings and whatever, and they were too cool for it. And I remember, I probably signed up. I always joke about it because it's like I sign up my parents every 6 months and then cancel them, and then I use them when I need them. Like I always say, like they're kind of like the people that hold those spots for me. But what's really cool now, to come full circle, if anyone out there who's like discouraged that their family or close friends haven't come on board, it has taken a while, but this last summer with Lift 4, both my brothers and both their wives are now doing Lift 4, and it's like a whole family affair. And it took a while, but now they like just today, my brother sent me his, before and now photo, and he's like so pumped. And so they do come around. But one piece of advice that I have for everyone in terms of friends and family is, they can be great placeholders, but you cannot rely on your friends and family to build your business for you. So like to get to Emerald, for example, it's a great idea. I'm sure I did it in the beginning. I signed up my mom, I signed up Jake, I was Emerald. But if I had stopped there and I didn't keep going, then I wouldn't have kept Emerald. So it's a great spot to get you started. Use that support, but then realize they are not responsible for keeping you there. Then you have to get your butt to work and recruit more people.
Well, speaking of recruiting people, I mean, that's kind of the tough part of this. I mean, either one of you, I guess, how do you feel like you're starting some of those new coach conversations? How do you approach those? Maybe let's start at the basics of where are they starting? Where are you finding these people to have a conversation with?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Just because I'm right there in the middle of that. I had tons of momentum in July. I hit that goal, and now August has been hard. It's been really, really hard. I have lots and lots of conversations going on right now. I have some people signing up at the end of this week, but with the back to school time and the world that I live in here, that's hard. And so I'm glad you said it though, because I've had to be super intentional about those conversations. And for me, it's coming from a personal standpoint of, I lost about 60 pounds when my husband was deployed. And so they've seen that, of course, the people that are here, but then on social media, I've taken some steps out of my comfort zone and really tried to be consistent there and show my story. There are people that have said, hey, I know you've lost all this weight, but I didn't really know there was opportunity to share how I had gotten there and why. And so just really stepping out of my comfort zone and opening up those conversations, taking it a step further from, oh, I've done this program, to why am I doing it? Why has it helped me? Why do I love it? Why am I continuing to go through it? And just taking those conversations next level. Like I'm really good at the initiation of the conversation, getting it going, but to continue and be vulnerable with people and really open up, connect on that level, that's where I am now. That's what I'm trying to focus on. So.
Yeah, and so with that, I mean, you mentioned a couple of like family members that you signed up, but in order to get to Diamond, I mean, you still had to fill out some of those legs. So the people that signed up that were non-family members, are those like close friends or school teachers, or how did those people come into your business?
Yeah. So in the couple weeks before, well, we were in the Dash to Diamond group, but then I pushed that goal up to July 19th and decided, okay, in 2 weeks I'm doing this. I sat through and made a prospect list, and like every person I could think of, and made a note of why this would benefit them, just from my perspective of what I knew initially. And so then I just started going through there. And these were people, some were coworkers, and some that signed up have been co-teachers. Some are church friends, or just friends in the community. Some actually are just through social media that I had known in the past, just friends from before. And so, which surprised me because I didn't have much of a social media presence or, account even before, but I just started getting comfortable, stepping out there, sharing my story, and people immediately responded. And so that was motivating. But honestly, I looked at every different circle that I was involved in and tried to go through there and name those people. And if I, went through the list, talked to someone, I would add one more name and just keep going through there and cycling through. And especially the people that I initially thought, oh, I don't think they would be into this. This is not their thing, or they're already working with a different program. Well, one of my coaches that's really working the business is a fitness instructor for jazzercise, and she is loving this, and she's just excelling at it already. And so for me, it was not discrediting those people that I thought, oh, they don't fit the mold, but just knowing this really can meet anyone's needs, anyone's lifestyle. And so, yeah, hope that makes sense.
Well, I think that was awesome. I mean, for those of you who have not set up or created a list of people, I mean, I'd encourage you to take it a step further. And once you create your list, create some sort of Excel document that you can track when you're reaching out to these people. Because a lot of times we hear the no and immediately think they never want anything to do with it. But I love, Amber always kind of reminds me, it's not necessarily a no, it's just a not right now. And so we got to be circling back with people at some point, especially if they express interest or they message you or they say interested at something that you shared, got their interest at that point. And it might just need a little bit of marinating before they come back around. So be sure, I love that, Ashley, like creating a list of people that you can be reaching out to and connecting with, but then like also be sure that you're tracking this, because if you're not, and you've got all these people coming into your businesses. I did a call earlier, maybe last week, and I was saying, make sure we're getting email addresses and phone numbers, because even when it comes to Messenger, like I'm telling you guys, if you send me a messenger, or I apologize in advance, it's going to be like, everybody's going to find this out. But if you do a voice message, you are like blessed by Jesus if I listen to it, because I never sit there thinking that I have time to do that. So just make sure we're connecting on all these different platforms so we have different ways to communicate with people. Ams, when you were getting started, the role of friend, yes. Did someone say?
No, sorry. I was just going to, you mentioned the follow-up thing. I was just going to say really quickly that's a part of it that was really hard for me and has been continuing to be hard. Stepping out of that comfort zone, following up when someone says not right now, or they say, yeah, I'm interested and maybe later. But I've had several that it just took a few weeks of discussing it with them and reminding myself it's not, I'm not being pushy. I'm doing this the right way. It just wasn't the right time for them, and coming back around. And I've had several girls get on the team from just following up, being consistent, and having that conversation, taking the step to just ask again or ask in a different way. So yeah.
Totally. Guys, being salesy, that is like, I hate when people tell me I'm not trying to pursue this business because I don't want to be salesy. Being a follow-up and providing excellent customer service is not salesy. That is just being great at sales. So I just want you to remember that on days that you're like, oh man, I don't want to follow up with them again. Like that's kind of the job when you work in sales, is just making sure that you are circling back with people, because it just might take them a little bit of time. But Ams, when it comes to like getting started and the role of friends and family, we were talking about that. Where were you finding people to start conversations with as far as coaching, active coaching?
Yeah, first I just want to just like just kind of touch on something that Ashley said, because I really think that she said something which is the key to why she's had so much success. When she was talking about her prospecting list, she talked about not only their names, but why this would be good for them. And I think that mindset is so important, because I know for a lot of newer coaches, they're nervous to reach out because they're scared that these people are going to think they're trying to convince them, to like pay them a favor or something. And it's never about us. And I think that, Ashley, I just think that's probably the key to why you are having success with this, is because you are thinking about like what's in it for them and why would this be awesome for them. And you have that positive mindset instead of, oh, they probably think I'm talking them into something. So first of all, I loved that. And everything else you had to say, it's so good. Okay, so as far as like when I got started, I mean, you guys all know my story a little, not maybe all of you. It's weird as our team grows, not everyone, I don't know everyone anymore, but so my story is that I always tell people, basically I was coaching for 3 years before Beachbody for free, because I was posting online, I was blogging, I was kind of sharing content, making like zero money. So my story is a little bit different because I had a social media following. It's funny, I'll look back and I would literally do challenge groups. Like I would make them up and do it all for free. But anyway, so I had a following, but like what I did was, in the beginning is why are you laughing?
I was going to ask if there's any way for you to share some of those videos with the team.
Oh my gosh, you guys,
so pretty entertaining. I'm thinking of the Bosu ball.
Oh, you guys, it's a good thing that not more people signed up for my boot camp. So embarrassing. So I, what I did, and actually this is when I started, I had no freaking clue what I was doing. And whenever new coaches tell me like I'm clueless, I was like, yeah, that's just how it is in the beginning. You don't really have a clue what you're doing, but you just do it anyway. So I, and I still would say that I get coaches from both from my challenge group. So like when they get results and they feel amazing and they want to pay it forward. And then also just from organically, like people who have had nothing to do with Beachbody and they want to become coaches right off the bat. And so my first batch of coaches, again, I had no clue what I was doing. I literally said like, hey, I'm starting this new thing. Anyone else want to coach? And bless their hearts, Candace Bergen and Bethany Swart said, sure, we'll join you, even though we have no clue what you're doing. They were like two of the first people. And so I always kind of apologize to them because I don't know what they got for training. But anyway, that was kind of, in the early days, like I would post. But what I found is that, now I'm much more like intentional about my recruiting. And I wanted to share kind of how I'm finding coaches right now. And the strategy that I'm using. I did a live video in one of our groups the other day about this. So I'm sorry if this is repeat information, but specifically on Instagram, how I have found success lately is I really prospect the people who I think would be amazing coaches. And I have this Google sheet and I basically have them kind of go through this step-by-step process of where we're at in our relationship. Especially on Instagram, I found that people aren't necessarily like responsive if I reach out and I'm like, hey, saw your profile. Are you interested in learning more about coaching? I tried that for a while and it just wasn't effective. And so my strategy now is really what I do is I go online, I go on Instagram, I search different hashtags, I look at different accounts that I like to follow, and I just find people that, seem like my people, seem like people I want to be friends with. And I literally will write their username into a Google spreadsheet. And then I have like a few different categories in there. The first one is, building their relationship. The second one is they're interested in a challenge group. And then I have another one that's like, they're a customer, another one that's that they're a discount coach, another one that they're a working coach. And so I kind of will just categorize where we're at in that relationship. But at first, when I find these people, I'm not inviting them into anything at all because I want them to trust me first. So what I'm doing is I'm building their relationship by liking their posts, I'm commenting on their posts, I'm watching their stories, I'm commenting on their stories. I'm really just making friends. And I don't do that because I want them to buy from me or I want them to join my team. Like I don't do that in any way because I want to get something from them. I truly have the same mindset as Ashley of like, gosh, if I have something that I can offer them and serve them with, if our team is a great fit for them, if my challenge groups are a great fit for them, then that's awesome. We're going to have so much fun working together. If not, that's totally cool too. If they're never going to join me, I'm still going to love on them. I'm still going to be their friend. We're still going to build that relationship to some extent, and it's totally cool. But I think when you have in your mind that you just are trying to build the relationship, then at some point what I do is I switch it over. Maybe I would say usually at least a month and a half goes by after I'm commenting. Sometimes sooner if I'm feeling like we're clicking or whatever. Then at some point, I'll send them a message like, hey, I just have to put this out there because at this point, I'm liking their posts. They're also liking my posts. They're seeing what I'm putting out there. They see that I'm a coach, and I've seen that maybe they've liked some of those posts, that they've commented on some of those posts. And so that's usually when I ask them like, hey, I just have to tell you, you keep coming to mind as someone who I just really feel would be an amazing coach. Have you ever considered it? And, sometimes they'll say flat out, no, like, thank you so much for thinking of me, but no. Other times they're like, actually, yeah, I've been kind of curious. I'd like to learn more. And at that point is when I talk to them. I'll get them on a Zoom call like this, just share my heart really about the business. So that strategy is what I'm doing right now that's working.
So I want to kind of unpack just a couple of things there just to summarize it. But like this goes back to building a personal brand, which obviously we are really, I want to talk about that and make sure we hit on that tonight, guys. But when it comes to building personal brand, you guys got to be given value. For those of you, it's going to start getting branded into your mind. But like I keep talking to people about the hows and the whys. That's so important. It's not that you worked out at 4:30, because for me, that's not relatable. I could never work out at 4:30. So for those of you who do, congratulations. Like I am not. Like I worked out tonight at 6 p.m. because I just procrastinated and put it off till the end of the day. So like I don't relate to people that are working out at 4:30, but I can relate to why you did it or how you did it. And that's I just want our team to again, I keep going here to here. Not that you worked out, but why you worked out. So giving people value, thinking about that, today's challenge was all about, what else do you want your sphere to recognize you for beyond Beachbody? Because when it comes to your warm market and you got your friends and your family, that's going to be the immediate people that are going to be most interested in you. The people that are not going to be interested in you initially, that cold market, are going to have something that they can connect to you on. And so when Amber says, for 3 years, I was just giving people value and not getting paid for it, that's why when we opened up this business, there were people that were interested. It wasn't because she was doing workouts, guys. It was because they connected with her. They connected with her personality, her story. She just gave value freely. And then the other thing I want to hit on is like when it comes to Instagram, like the thing I love about what you're doing, Ams, is you are looking for people you genuinely are interested in. Like, so when you think about virtual friendships and you're like, oh, if I follow them, like Instagram's kind of cool because it's not all that like weird to follow people. So if you go and you follow their page, like they might go and check you out. Otherwise, they might just think they're cool that they got another follower. So it's not like take the anxiety out of it, but find people that you're genuinely interested in, because you're not just going out there and looking for people with 100,000 followers. You're going out there and you're looking for people that have maybe 150 followers, but clearly have influence, clearly have a story, and you're genuinely interested in them. So when you're following on their stuff and you're watching their stories, it's out of a place of like genuine interest. And so I think that's just like, that's kind of cool. You're building this virtual friendship, but it's with people that you're actually interested in, that if they decided they wanted to coach, you would love to work with them. And so I just want to make sure I'm hitting that. So as we're transitioning, building sustained success, I want to let's keep this kind of a short question, but where do you feel like the majority of your leads are coming from? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it in person? Is it Pinterest? Is it Snapchat? Is it Musically? Where are you guys getting the majority of your leads from? Just so people know where they should be focusing their time. And it varies. It certainly varies, but.
Yeah, I'll share. For me right now, either in person or personal contacts, kind of still that warm market, I guess, but Instagram, that's where I'm pushing. That's what I'm working toward, and just making a lot of connections there. Amber posted that plan earlier this week, I guess. And so I've been kind of implementing that and trying to make some connections through Instagram, and I've gotten a few people through that. So.
And I would say for me, right now, it's been personal Facebook, just because the algorithm with like pages is so crazy. Like I have, 45,000 people on my like page, and I get way more traction with my, friends page right now, just because of the way it works. Once in a while, I'll hit like a home run, and like one post will do really well, but I cannot count on that alone. And then Instagram, honestly, which is so weird for me to say, because Instagram is not my, it's not my talent. Like, I'm not an artsy photo taker. Like, I don't take the perfect shots all the time. I mean, I try to have decent lighting, but I've struggled with Instagram, but it's coming around. And I think the stories feature has been huge for me, because I love to share just real life. And then in person too, like, I think, don't ever believe the lie that your warm market is dried up, because you're constantly meeting new people. You're constantly having new relationships. And so always putting yourself out there, even like in, volunteer in your kid's classroom, or be part of moms groups. Like, just you're putting yourself in different settings where you can meet people is huge.
I want to add, when people are going in there and you're sharing something to your business page, the easiest thing to do is just to hit share to your personal, right? So you post in your business and you just hit share. I want to encourage each and every one of you guys just to go a little bit further in that post. Again, spend 5 extra seconds and try and add just like a little snippet of additional value, and then share it. Because what I've found is, if I just simply just do the share, people don't really see it. I'll get like 2 or 3 likes. But if I try and just dive just a tiny bit deeper, or I unpack the quote that I put in there, it seems to have a little bit of a greater reach. So just as you guys are trying to figure out your own algorithm, you might have a little bit of better success if you add a little bit additional value instead of just simply doing post. So if you guys are given, let's say, maybe this is just very, very much real life, but if you're given 2 hours a day, where are you spending your time right now?
Okay, I'll go ahead. My daughter is crying her eyes out in the other room, so hopefully she'll stop for a second. 2 hours, man. So right now those hours are coming from staying up late and doing it, especially with school starting back, or honestly just getting up early, and I enjoy that quiet time. And yeah, I'm making connections, following up. Follow-up is huge for me right now, and because I've got tons of conversations going on, and just taking it to the next level, following up with those people, trying to be more specific to place them where they need to be placed. Hope that makes sense.
Ams, where are you spending your time? You have 2 hours to grow a business and recruit people. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because you guys, I'll just be honest, it's so easy to not do the hard stuff first. Like, it's so, your temptation, especially once you have a few coaches under you, is to go, okay, I think I'll like answer all their messages first before I build my own business. But I have to force myself literally to, to be posting. So if I have 2 hours, I have to come up with 1 or 2 posts to post publicly. And then following up with anyone who, is like on my prospect list that I haven't touched base with. So the reason that I keep those Instagram handles, even though I follow them, I keep them in a list so that I can be really intentional about checking in with them. So that's one of the first things I do is just like circle back and make sure that I kind of go through those people that I want to keep building a relationship with there. Posting to my challenge group. What else? I mean, really just the business building activities, my workout, like that's work, right? That's part of your work. So, yeah, just the vitals really is what I should be doing. Do I do that every day? No. And then I kick myself later. So I'm like, dang it, I had time and I wasted it. So yeah.
What about stories, Ams? What are you doing in stories?
Yeah, stories too. That's an easy one. I mean, I feel like
it's not easy. Like if it was easy, then we would have like 15 5-time elite coaches. But currently we have nobody other than you. So it's not easy. So break it down. Like what do people need to be doing if they want to have success on stories?
I would say think about what you enjoy watching on stories. Like what are the stories that you go on? Because I know we all have these accounts that we follow every day that we just can't stop watching. And so think about what is that for you? Because I think it's different for everyone, right? But you have to think about your market and what do you enjoy watching. And so for me, you know, when I think about what I like to watch, I don't just like when people take photos or videos. I really like when someone is talking at me and like kind of having a conversation. So I try to sprinkle some of that in, just like I'm talking to a friend. I do share a few fitness moves. You know, I share real life with the kids, even though it's harder for me to remember that because usually when I'm around the kids, I try not to have my phone out as much, but I've been trying to get better at that, just having a few snippets of the kids. Just life, really.
What about polls?
Oh yeah, polls have been huge. Like just different random stuff. Again, just connecting. Like the other day I did, or just last night I guess it was, you know, I was peeking in on the kids before bed and I just did a random poll like who else checks on their kids before bed or whatever. And I said yes or no. And like, you know, I had hundreds of people respond to my polls last night. And so I do like a poll that has nothing to do with anything. And then I'll do a poll about a boot camp. Because I found that you can't just do polls about like, hey, want to join? You have to do polls about random other stuff. The other thing that does is like if I had the time today, I would have gone back to that poll and you can still go back through archives, and I would use those people that responded to my poll about the random stuff as conversation starters. So, you know, I would, for example, last night, if someone had responded to my poll about the bedtime thing, I would have gone back into my list of the people that responded and I would have just shot them a message, something like, oh my gosh, that's so fun that you check on your kids too. Isn't it just the cutest? How many kids do you have? And then we would start the conversation there.
And so sorry, I'm gonna push you just a tiny bit further because that's how you're building a relationship. But everybody that's on this call we still have 46 people. We lost 6 of them already. They didn't think they were getting enough value from this. So for 46 that want to know how to build a business, I'm not kidding. Like for the 46 that are still on this call, what are we doing? Where in the heck are you having that conversation with them about joining as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, so like today I did a post about that. Like I said, you know, I shared just about why I love coaching genuinely. And you guys, it does take a little bit to not feel weird about posts about shit, like chatting about that. But I just shared about it. And then I said, who wants to join me in I'm going to be running a private Facebook group. Who wants to learn more about what I do or coaching or whatever I said. And so I had some people respond. It's not hundreds. Like I don't get as many people to respond. But then what I do is I message each person who responds to my poll. And I just said, hey, thanks so much for responding to my poll. I'm so excited to share more about coaching with you. What's your name on Facebook? Because I'd love to add you into this private group. Is that okay? And then they get back to me. Sometimes they ghost me. But, you know, that's pretty much my process. And now I have them on Instagram as connection and also on Facebook as I add them right away as a friend. So I have that connection too. And so, yeah, does that answer what you're looking for?
Yeah, I want us just to keep helping people break it down. So, I mean, you're starting with a relationship. that relationship, the based off. So if you guys don't know how Instagram works, like Instagram is going to reward you for using Instagram. So the more, the stories that you do, the posts that you do, the interaction, the responding to people that you do, like, I posted on Facebook yesterday, and it was a bunch of people that were congratulating Amber, and it was at the end of the day, and I go, hey, you got to go back and you got to respond to people. And when she responded to people, all of a sudden we saw engagement start going back up. Same thing in Instagram, same thing in Facebook. So if people are messaging you, if they're congratulating you, take a few seconds and just message them back. It's going to keep you turning over in the algorithm. When you're creating conversations with them, respond to them, they do your poll, message them back. Like now, the next time that you post, you're going to be more likely to pull up in their feed, if nothing else. And so what you've done a good job of doing, Ams, is taking some that's like life events, like you were talking about putting the kids to bed, and you create those relationships. And then today, all those people that were commenting, you're probably pulling up right in the front end of their stories. So now they're seeing you talk about coaching. So I just want you guys to see that there is kind of a process here. And not to be intimidated by it. You need, like, the retail side of this business is great. That's what's going to feel really good and rewarding. But the opportunity to actually make sustainable income, to change your life, to decide what you guys want to do on your own hours is going to be from recruiting. And being a recruiter is going to have to start with talking about it at some point. Okay. Where are we at with time? 8:45. I want to be respectful of everybody's evenings. We'll do this, and then I want to chat personal brand. Cool? One question, if you had to go back and do things all over again, Ashley, you're starting day one, you have 0 coaches. Nobody's interested. Mom and dad think this is stupid. Where are you starting? Same thing for you, Am. So we'll go to you next. But starting from scratch, day one, where do you guys spend your time? What do you do?
I would have started sooner. I think, I think that's my only thing, honestly. Of course, with the end of school, it was crazy for me, but I'm really happy with the way that we did everything and just kind of getting my momentum going, setting that goal from the start. But yeah, that's the only thing I would change, for the most part. Obviously I'm not perfect, but I've learned from some of the conversations I've had and figured out, the better way to approach them. But that's the biggest thing, is like, just not be afraid and not get in my own head and think about why not to do it, be afraid to reach out and have those conversations, but just to go out there and take that step and to be proud and excited about it from moment one. Because I got there, but it just took me about 2 months to figure that out.
Yeah, I think that's relatable for a lot of us. Like we've got people that have been doing this for a long time that probably feel like if I could just go back 18 months ago and start all over, I'd do it. So I think that's relatable. How about you, Ams? If you had to start all over, what would you do? And I'm thinking like tactical too. Like if you had to just start, where do you do? Do you open up a business page on Instagram? Do you start with a Facebook page, or you mess it? Like, what are you doing if you just had to open up business day one?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, for sure Instagram, ASAP. For sure, I would probably have started just with my personal Facebook page for a little bit until I got comfortable. If I was new to social media, eventually I would have opened up my Facebook like page. But the number one thing I would have done differently, that if I have any regrets in this business, it's that I did not invite boldly enough early on to coaching, because I had people that I was so scared to reach out to or so scared to invite to be a coach who signed up with other people. And that just was like the hardest thing. And now, a lot of those people are coming to me going, oh my gosh, why didn't I sign up with you? And I'm like, once you're a coach, you can't switch at all. But I just wish that when I had made that list, like Ashley did, like I made that list too, there were people that I skipped over because I was too nervous about them, and then they ended up doing it with someone else. And so that's my biggest thing, is like, if there are people that scare the crap out of you to invite, those are the people you need to invite tomorrow, even if they say no. Like, I've had people say no for the last 3 years. I still follow up with them. Sometimes it takes me like the 4th try before they say yes, but at least they know that you're thinking of them. At least if they're ready to sign up with Beachbody, they're most likely going to sign up with you instead of someone else.
Cool. Thank you. So I want to chat real quick about personal branding, and then we're going to open it up for questions. So you guys, please be thinking, if you have any questions as far as recruiting, pain points that you're coming across, we need to know them. There is one question that's about like, how can I talk about a success if I'm not successful? It's not what this is about. It's not about being successful. It's about helping people. Aaron Trier did a sweet video today for that push to diamond or push to emerald. And I didn't listen to the whole thing. I'll admit that. But the part that I listened to was really good. Like, just remember, back to the basics. We have to start out by getting to emerald. We got to start out by helping people and making that the mission behind every last thing that we do. And if that's truly what our intent is, that's where your success is going to come from. But it starts by placing building blocks in place. A lot of place and blocks there. But that's where it starts, is just by starting with reaching out to people, caring about people, genuinely wanting the best for people, and the success will follow. But we got to start from a place. We don't need to be telling people that if you join me, you'll make $130,000. There's nothing sustainable about that. But if you do join me, you're going to be a part of a great community. You're going to get the nutrition that your body needs. We're going to have so many resources with Take Back the Kitchen and Take Back the Lunchbox that can impact families. That's the opportunity. That's what we're about. We're not necessarily about any sort of like income level or ability to recruit. We know we can recruit. There's people out there. As it pertains to personal brand, one thing that I really want to make sure that we're focused on, guys, is dropping like your generic Beachbody hashtags. So when it comes to recruiting, like, think about when you guys were trying to figure out your coach, and you were trying to figure out, if I'm going to sign up with Aaron Trier, I'm going to sign up with Carla Woken. Like, if you were going to sign up with anybody, you were not scrolling hashtag Beachbody Coach. Or if I'm wrong, let me know. But for those of us that are doing TBB, like, that is for Beachbody's marketing purposes. That is for Beachbody and Beachbody alone. For us to be doing whatever the heck it was called, double sweat or super sweat, or I don't even know. Like, I didn't do it because I was in the middle of my own challenge group. I think it's great that they're running them, but remember, like, if you want to talk about it, talk about that you did 2 workouts using the on-demand, but we don't need to be following the hashtags that corporate tells us to use, because they're not actually bringing us any sort of value. People aren't out there searching these hashtags to find their coach. They're going to find their coach because of your ability to create your personal brand. So, we talked about that. Ams, I'm going to have you kind of just chat like real briefly some of the exercises that you have done. Is like, I'm thinking like kind of that magazine idea. But I want you guys to think about what you want people to recognize you for. Maybe it's about being a mom. Like, for me, if you go on my Instagram at Jake Kuiper, you'll see that like one of the things that I talk about is like, I want people to recognize me for sales leadership. It's something I've got a lot of experience in over the last 10 years, but it's not about being a great dad, because I'm not, like, that's not part of my personal brand. I love my children to death, but that's not my brand. And then the other component of that, I heard a really good thing. I listened to an Audible book called Kick Ass by Mel Robbins. If you guys haven't listened to it, it's kind of cool. It's like one-on-one coaching sessions. But like, a lot of times when we think of that we're parents, when we think of the job that we have as a sales professional, as a nurse, and all that kind of stuff, we like to use that as the component of what we share with the world. But there's a part of her counseling session where this guy who's super talented, he played in the NFL, he's a Harvard grad, all this stuff, he's rattling off all these accolades. And I'll admit that I've been guilty of it too in my growth online. I always wanted people to know I was a sales professional and I work for the largest medical device company in the world. With this counseling session, she goes, but that's your job. That's not your story. And for me, and I don't know if it resonates with anybody else, but I was like, wow, like, I spend a lot of my time taking pride in my job, but I'm not connecting with my story. So when I say personal branding and the importance of just thinking about something bigger than workouts, bigger than Shakeology, what do you want people to recognize and know you for? It doesn't have to be that you're a mom. It doesn't have to be that you're a dad or you're a professional. It can be whatever you want it to be. What is your story? So one exercise that I know AMS has done in the past, and maybe you've got a different direction you want to go with this, but when you think of like how you built Mommy's Me Time, which has been a funnel for recruiting, like what do you think of when you think of personal branding?
Yeah, so the exercise Jake is kind of referring to is if you think about your life as in like someone was going to make a magazine cover about your life, like what would be those key words that would be on the cover? And I think that's really helpful to sort of, get to a point where you know what you want to share. But the other thing too is that you're going to evolve over time. So I started as a stay-at-home mom, and that was all I wrote about. And over the last few years, it's evolved to where now I talk about how I was a former stay-at-home mom. Now I'm an entrepreneur, and really my brand is that I still want to share real mom life, but I want to encourage other stay-at-home moms like myself, perhaps, who just want something additional than being at home. And so I want to empower them to know that just because they've been maybe out of the game for a little bit doesn't mean that they don't have something to offer, and it doesn't mean that they can't find something that really does help them to have the best of both worlds, to have time with their kids, but also to be able to work when they want to work. So it's kind of evolved to that. But I think for each of you to think about, what is it about your story that might be on a magazine cover can help you kind of uncover some of those things.
There's a question here. We'll kind of open this up too. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them now. Feel free to just park them in the comments or chat section. But there's a question: is it still best to put the hashtags in the comments? So I'm going to tell you, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I've started to have a lot of success on Instagram. And one of the things that I do is each and every post that I write, I look at what I'm trying to connect it to. And it's different each and every time. I'm not doing like hashtag entrepreneur, hashtag guys who lift, hashtag dad bod. If it has something to do with the post, I'll use it. But if I'm dressed in a suit, I'll do men in suits, dad swag, red suit, white shirt, day in the life, downtown Chicago, downtown Minneapolis. I personalize it to each and every post. And again, guys, it's going to take a little bit of additional time to do that. But I'm telling you, for whatever reason, like I continue to get a lot of engagement on my posts, and Amber even has noticed it. Mm-hmm. Maybe she won't admit it, but I have been present on my my Instagram lately. But I'm giving people value. I'm sharing the hows and the whys. You will not go to my Instagram or really my Facebook page and see something that says, took my kids for donuts today. You would see, took my kids for donuts today, and here's why. I'm always adding a little bit extra there. And then in the comments, I'm always like personalize each and every hashtag to the situation that I'm in. So I don't know if they've adjusted the algorithm, but there might be something to like personalizing them instead of doing copy and paste, which for a long time worked. They just continue to make these algorithms a little bit more intuitive.
Yeah, I was going to say too, I've noticed that at some point there was a switch to when I copy and pasted hashtags, it didn't do the same. But when I do individual and I take like a few seconds to personalize each post, it does help.
What else? I go back and forth in the comments or in the post. I always seem to get the most engagement when they're in the comments. Totally. More and more. The more that you're engaging, the more that you're responding, the more you're asking people questions, you're just going to continue to pull up in their feeds. I think that matters. And then, guys, like it's that engagement that starts the process. And then as Amber and Ashley have kind of both said, like that's where you're starting to just transition those conversations. You're genuinely interested in people. And then you're presenting a business opportunity. I really do. That question initially, though, I know I kind of hit it real quick, but just success isn't going to happen overnight. So we have to just kind of gradually be building those relationships, being patient, showing up on a regular basis. And I'm telling you guys, when it comes to getting people in your challenge groups, like this is the cold, hard reality that like your results matter. So, if you're going to take off 6 weeks and not show up, if you're going to eat like crap throughout Lift 4, I was talking to somebody else about this the other day that like the output that you burn in lift 4 is actually really small because it's only a 30-minute workout. So when you're used to working out for 60, 70 minutes with 80-day obsession, you're seeing crazy results, and you ate kind of whatever you wanted. When you do that with lift 4 and you eat whatever you wanted, you're only really burning 200, 300 calories max. So, be thinking about that when you're going through these programs. Like, it's important that you're focused on your nutrition just as much as you're focused on completing the workouts, because, like it or not, like, people are going to want to work with people that are getting results. I mean, that's the industry that we're in. We signed up for that. Like, we can coach, we can motivate, but we also have to be getting results. Anything else? Any other questions? You guys got it all figured out with recruiting, huh? So no excuses this week. So I'm going to book our 15-star retreat then tonight, because we're going to be celebrating all you guys, all you rock stars out there. Anything else? Nobody has any questions. I can't believe it. We're that good.
I have a question. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
So I oftentimes, I've been sharing a lot of transformation photos of mine, which are very noticeable and get a lot of attention. Like, I don't have a huge following or anything, but often over 100 likes on Facebook, and anywhere from 10 to 20 people reaching out to me for more information. And I almost feel like, there's conversation that's happening before I'm sharing what the program is and the company Beachbody. So I'm not just shoving that in their face right away, but I feel like once I do that, I get crickets, and I don't know how to overcome that, and why it's I get this feeling another network marketing thing. I'm not interested. So I guess that's where I'm struggling right now, is I have all these people that have reached out to me and we've talked about it. And then when I send that email of, okay, this is where you go to purchase, it just stops there. They're not interested anymore. And so I would love advice on how to overcome that.
Mm-hmm. Well, immediately my thoughts are, that's normal. So I think it's really easy to think that you're doing something wrong, or why aren't these people reaching out? The reality is, when I look at the ratio, it's usually 1 in 10 people that show interest that will actually purchase. And sometimes those 1 in 10, it can take them, a few times of them reaching out before they're ready. But I would say your job in that would be to keep following up with them. And my rule is unless they tell me to go away, follow up with them. And so if they reached out about a group, what I would do is, once your group is about to start, reach out and say, hey, I just wanted to circle back with you. I'm putting final touches on this group that starts on Monday. Just wanted to circle back and ask if you're still interested. I'd love to answer any questions you might have. And you might still get crickets, but it might result in yeah, you know what, I should just do that. But what I've learned is that you can't assume the worst from people, and don't take things personally, because a lot of times it's that they're not ready. It's not that you've done anything wrong or turned them off. And also to think through, don't assume that it's because it's Beachbody either. There's so many other reasons that they could just not be ready for a change. And so if you tell yourself, oh, they probably think I'm annoying, or they probably think this is just a scam, that'll get in your head. But I would say just keep sharing. I mean, you have amazing results, and the fact that you're getting that many likes and that many comments, you are an inspiration. And so it might take people a little while to hop on board, but man, when they do, it's going to be so cool.
And I forget what the ratio is, but it's something like majority of sales happen after 7 to 12 follow-ups. So, setting that expectation that it is going to require some marinating and follow-up, and constantly, I talk about this from time to time, but constantly be changing the reason that you're following up with them. maybe you're following up with them now about take back the lunchbox because they have kids, or, a beach bar promotion. Always be trying to find something, reminding them that you've got a new group coming up. And I love that you said, don't let it be because it's Beachbody. Don't convince yourself. It's easy enough to think that it's because it's network marketing. It's not what it is at all. If you know deep down in your soul that these programs have changed you, then you have something good, and people. I've got. Okay, so we'll. I don't know what you want to do now. We've got questions. I shouldn't have said anything, but I do like that you guys have.
How
questions.
about we go live
tomorrow
since it's late? How about we go live tomorrow in the group to answer the rest of these? Hold on, let me copy and paste them before this closes out, because I know.
Sounds good. Because now I've got an entire house to pack.
Yeah. Just let me make sure I have these. Okay. Ashley, do you have anything you want to leave with before we go?
I was just going to say, like, going along with what you were talking about, I'm not sure where I heard it, but I loved how they phrase when I'm following up or when I'm having the conversation and I get a no or not yet, I'm asking permission to follow up with them. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I just kind of saw a big change or I don't know, just a big difference, even in the way that I felt about it. Just ask permission and say, hey, that's fine. Totally understand the timing's not right for you. Would you mind if I followed up with you next month or my next challenge group or even next week? Just recognizing where people are in this season of life, especially right now, and moms, and asking permission. And I felt like that made it more genuine, and they were totally willing. They said, yes, please do. And that kept the conversation going. So
that's so good. It's really good. All right.
Well, hey guys, this was the first one, and I hope. I mean, I was hoping we'd have a half hour's worth of content. So, obviously, this is a topic we'll have to circle back on as things continue to change. But I hope you guys like a little bit of a change with this. We really tried to kind of keep it here and what you need, and a little bit less of updates. So we'll see you guys next week, Monday. Thanks so much for taking time out of your busy lives to prioritize this. We really appreciate it.
Bye, guys.